Everybody see on your screen, popular actor Joe Finfera returns to the Jim Masters Show, live entertainment lifestyle, celebrity talk show series. Good to have you with us. I'm your host, Jim Masters. This is his trifecta. We were just talking about that. Third time back here on the show. He's been busy, all kinds of great television series, specials, and shows. He's actually in this Arctic Armageddon. He's starring in that as we speak, which is streaming as well. You remember him from so many incredible shows. Of course, this is the one he's in now, and he's actually in several things all at once. But take a look at some of these things. He's been on Lifetime. He's been on Hallmark. He's been on your television screen, in films and television and so much more for such a long time. Lifetime Movie Network. I know there's many of you who love Lifetime. You love Hallmark. Yeah, you see him there a lot. He's on Amazon Prime and just everywhere with all of these incredible shows. And he's a prolific and high in demand actor, originally from the East Coast, and makes his home there in California. His brother is Jimmy Boots Finfera, the paranormal investigator who was just on a couple of weeks ago. He's been with us a couple of times as well. It's like all in the family here at the Jim Masters Show. And let's welcome our friend back right now for the third time to update us about a lot of cool things he's working on in Hollywood. Joe Finfera is back on the Jim Masters Show live. My friend, welcome back to the show.
Hey, thank you for having me back. I appreciate it.
The pleasure is all mine. You know, you were saying when we were chatting beforehand, before the show goes live, we chat with the guests and we check the audio and the video and everything, that it's almost like family, not just the East Coast connection. Me originally from the New York area, you from the Baltimore, Maryland area, but in just the way that it's worked with you here several times and your brother. And
so I truly feel like we're family. So when I see you, it's like, oh, it's my brother, it's my friend. And so you've had my brother on twice. This will be my third time. You've had my ex-wife on the show, my ex on the show, Tara Kemp on the show. And so you've had a lot of people, and I watch your stuff as well because it's very informative. But I feel like when I see you, you're like family to me. And we're also friends on Facebook. So I'm always commenting or congratulating you and your achievements and where you are and watching your stuff too, because it's great. We can just cheer each other along as we go along this path of life that we go on. And it's good to have people that are lovities and things like that. So I enjoy it. But you're just such a great host. And the other thing too is you're just so cool. You've had so many guests on your show that are so significant to our world and are the entertainment industry and just in the world in general. I want to almost interview you because you're so incredible with all these guests and it's pretty cool. One of the most profound guests that you've had, pretty awesome one was Tony Orlando. You remember having Tony Orlando on the show?
Oh, he too has been on 3 times, and he's actually a dear, dear friend. I just saw him a couple of weeks ago,
Okay.
once again in person, and he's a sweetheart of a guy. So is John Davidson. They're both terrific, legendary guys. Yeah.
Well, see, the thing with Orlando is as a child, and my brother will know this, where my grandfather every weekend would come to the house. And he had bring his guitar or banjo or all this stuff because he played 6 instruments. And we would sing songs, and he would always throw in these Tony Orlando songs. And I knew them all because of my grandfather when I was just a young little buck. And my brother Jimmy would could attest to it, that we grew up listening to Tony Orlando songs that my grandfather would play for us. And I actually sent you just a second ago before I came on, just a couple of lyrics of his song, Tie Your Yellow Ribbon. Do you know that song?
Of course, that's his signature.
I think.
Were you going to be singing it, or?
I think you and
Tie a yellow.
Since he's your friend, I think you and I, just for the hell of it, because I'm not a singer, but I appreciate people that are. And you know what? As a tribute to Tony Orlando and having him on the show, and you and I, why shouldn't we just sing a couple lyrics of his song? So I sent you a couple lyrics.
Oh, you did? All right.
The last email that you just got from me, I sent it 5 minutes before it came.
So that's been something that's been near and dear to your heart and your family for a long time, huh?
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah, and then the fact that my brother was going on the week after Tony Orlando was really cool. The first time he went on, because my brother went on a week, I think a week after him or a week before, one of the two, and it was just it
Yes.
was really really cool. And I mean, because this is a guy, as a child, my grandfather would sing his songs, and so I grew up listening and hearing his songs. Did you get your email? Can you access your emails?
Yes, we're just checking on that now. That is cool. Wow.
Isn't that cool? So it's
Yeah.
like it all relates. That's why I'm like, okay, you're truly part of the family. It all comes together. And you know, we want to make Tony Orlando part of the family. You know, because
You
I think he is part of so many families in the world. I
he
mean,
really is.
people have heard this guy's songs, and
Have you ever met him?
no, but I would love to. He seems pretty cool. And I watched him on your show, and he's a tough guy. He's a tough guy. He's a New Yorker. So it's like, you know, he doesn't take no stuff from nobody. And I can tell that about him. But he is a true performer, and I like watching
And
him.
he's given so much to so many people. He's responsible for so many people's careers because he was a record company executive
Oh,
as
right.
well too, and he launched a lot of careers for a lot of people. And we were at his final farewell concert. He did one in LA, then he went to Atlantic City because he's originally from New York, and then he did Mohegan Sun casino and arena and resort in Connecticut, and which is
Okay.
his favorite venue. And he's friendly with the owners. And there was 15,000 people there for
Wow.
his final performance. He's not touring anymore, just doing little things here and there. He's very big with helping veterans. So the touring that he's done, you know, he's now 80. And so he's been in the business over 60 years. And the flights, the travel, he says it's too much. A lot of people are saying it's too much. And so, and then to fill the big coliseums and the stadiums, but he had over 15,000 people in that arena. And he put on a 3 hour plus nonstop, no breaks,
Wow.
ending to his show was unreal. He brought on all these other celebrities. Priscilla Presley was in the audience. He
Wow.
acknowledged her. He acknowledged all the veterans from all the different wars and time periods. And Dawn, they were there. Tell me, the two of them were there as well, and other celebrities, other musical performers, legends that were of the time, and the radio announcer from WABC, Cousin Brucey, who was the one who introduced Tony Orlando on the radio in New York for the first time. So it was really an epic situation. So he lives in Branson, Missouri,
Oh,
where his wife, with his wife and his kids, and his daughter is his manager. And he also does a show on WABC 77 in New York that's streamed as well on Saturday nights at 10, which is kind of cool. So yeah, cool stuff, huh?
it's
What
great.
have you been up to? Tell us what Joe's been doing, because I'm seeing all these things. Joe Finfera, Joe Finfera, Joe Finfera.
I,
He's
but
like, you're the everyman man.
it's a dream come true. Everything's great. Hollywood's changing, and and I'm trying to work in with that. And a lot of you're seeing a lot of independent streamers, and they're the biggest thing this year for me this year. I mean, I've done a lot of like Lifetime and stuff throughout the years, but this past I would say couple months or past year since January have been doing these streamers from independent type producers. And I think I've completed 14 different streaming shows this year, and they're hot and heavy, and they're based off of novels, and there's so many different platforms. So it is the revolution of the independent producer, and this is stuff that people have talked about for years, and it's something that Hollywood was looking into a while ago, and they couldn't find a way to monetize it. But I'm pretty sure that you're going to find Hollywood jumping and grabbing onto it even further, like bigger companies like Netflix and Amazon and Apple I mark my words, will be capitalizing on it as well. But it's called verticals, and there are more lines for people to stream on their phone. Most people watch shows and do their viewing on their phone. And so they're watching these shows. And I've done
It's amazing, isn't it?
14 of these shows this year. And so it's kept me pretty busy. And as a performer, I feel free as an actor, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Where you perform so much that you don't feel inhibited by anything, and you just go for it and you feel comfortable. In fact, I'm probably more comfortable with lines than I am just being a regular person, for God's sake. And it's, you know what I mean? Because you can, we're all control freaks, but the script, everything's controlled. So you know what's going to happen. Everybody's got to follow the script. And that part's pretty cool. But I've been really busy with that. And it's wonderful. I just signed a contract for another streaming show. It's a series. It'll be for TV, but it's from a independent producer. And we're going to do, it looks like 8 episodes.
Wow.
Start this month. And I play a detective like I did with Keeping Up with the Joneses. So the more work you get, it's kind of like a bubble. The more work you get, the more work begots more work. Right. And we'll also I make relationships. And so when I work on a show, they know me. And a lot of times they can save time in casting by recasting me in something else because they know what I can do. Sometimes you have people write stuff for you based upon your personality or the way you talk and things like that. So I'm kind of getting the residual effect of relationships in the business. But you hear about all the changes in Hollywood, but the biggest change is going to be streaming and the independent producers. And you'll find the bigger people jumping in on it as well. They try to, but the way they're monetizing it is through ads and things like that. But they start these new platforms, but they advertise on like TikTok and they advertise on Instagram where the people have followers, and they can do massive pushes on these things, and that's where they gain followers. And then what they do is almost like, I think Amazon does it too, where they give you, like, you have a novel and they'll give you a couple episodes or a couple things for free. And then once you watch a couple and you're hooked, then they start charging you, and where they put on commercials, etc. So that's the future of the entertainment world. And it can be pretty busy. And so, I find myself being able to say no now a little bit, which is great. And so I guess I'm at a point where, I don't have to say yes to everything. And I feel like I'm in a good place where I feel like I've caught up to where I wanted to be. I felt like, for many years, I took the entertainment took a back seat because to me, it was more important to be a father and just be present for my children. But as my children got older, they don't need us as much anymore. So, we're mainly needed for our wallets and occasional advice when they want to take it. So I found myself wanting to finish what I started and paying back this kid, and I am able to do it. But one thing is, I don't have regret about the time I spent and being a present father. And it's so rewarding because my kids call me back. They call me, we talk, and I'm so happy that my relationship is good with my children, because you hear about with a lot of people, sometimes it can get sour with your kids. And to me, the most important thing in life is nothing that you and I are talking about, but what is really important is our relationship with the children and the people we love. And when all is said and done, that's the most important thing in life. Everything else is semantics. And so the most important thing is that we can keep those relationships strong. And when we love people, let them know we love them and give them that time and be there for them. So I'm glad I did. And I still do that, but I do have some extra time to be able to work in the show business world. And it does require a lot of time. And I did, and it's because it's changing too. Everything turned from in-person interviews to auditioning on tape, where you have to figure out, you audition yourself and you tape it yourself. They send you the sides, and then you have a backdrop, and then you film yourself and you send everything in. And that took a lot of time and effort to figure out, how can I stand up or stand out among 2,000 other people submitting for the same darn project? And you have to figure out how to do that. Well, one is name recognition, doing some things where they recognize you. building up your resume, and then two is making sure that you do the best job you can when you're doing this audition and all that hard work in figuring out where I wasn't getting called. How can I tweak this, tweak that, and then to where I'm having now, and I'm getting the success I wanted, and I'm getting these calls now, and I'm booking a lot of shows, and there is more work though in the streaming arena, and if, and of course there was the strike that happened, and that's actually I actually got notice. I got a nice little residual check because that really came about because of the strike. That's coming in the mail to me within the next couple of days. So there's a lot of things going on that's different in show business, and it's you have to be
been changing and morphing. What do you think about AI? A lot of people, I know there's concern about AI for on air and actors and voice people. I just saw something now where there's some sort of a platform where if you want to have somebody sound like, say, for example, they wanted you to sound like Schwarzenegger or sound like a 2-year-old boy, the software can actually change your voice to do that. So instead of hiring the Schwarzenegger or hiring the boy, the one person would be able to do that, which has an advantage, and it's great and it's convenient and it's fast. But then there's the potential of many people who are specialized in what they do being shoved aside because of the technology. How do you feel about all that?
We don't really know exactly where it's going to be. I think it's been happening in baby steps, and we've seen it through, like, let's say, background performers, where there would be a stadium and they would only have a block filled, but then they would copy that same thing to fill in a whole stadium when really they only had 30 people, and it's the same 30 people blocked in through the whole background. So that's kind of where you've seen it, and then you've seen it in some of these Netflix blockbusters where they make someone that's older younger, and you can really see it. It doesn't look so good yet, even though it's on Netflix. It's not 100% there yet. So I guess there's always a worry. There's always a worry about everything in life. I think the way I see it is I got to worry about just staying alive. You know what I mean? We're all getting older. So, I mean, eventually I won't be here. You won't be here. And so, there's always going to be.
Wait, what?
There's always going to be things that go
Says
wrong.
who?
So
what do you mean?
Death and taxes.
We're just getting going. What are we talking about?
I know, but as they say, these are for sure things like death and taxes. And so I think, for me,
one of them only comes once. The other one hits you every year.
Yeah, well, that's true. That is true. The way I see it would be, let me think about it. So I want to give you what my real thought is. I'm very appreciative with everything I've done, everywhere I've been, and all my accomplishments. So I'm extremely grateful. And I've had to work really hard the past couple of years to feel that way. So because of that, it makes it a little bit more, if everything goes to hell in a handbasket, I'll feel kind of okay because I'll be appreciative of everything I was able to do. And I don't want myself to be used, and I don't want myself to be using it and I'm replaced. I don't want that, obviously. But I think in life we have to find a way to be appreciative of where we are and what we've done. And so I am, and that's a thing that I think comes with time. When you get older, if you really push for it. And so for that, I am. And for the younger folks, it's difficult because you're looking at it like, oh. So I think it's almost like a sailboat. You have to move your sails sometimes in different directions. And I'm pivoting myself because, again, I'm doing more streamers this year. And eventually, I know, I mean, they could copy me and move my lips around and do that. In fact, a lot of the shows I've done with Lifetime and Ion and Hallmark, it's showing all over the world. And they take my voice and they digitally add another language to it, which is pretty cool. I get to hear myself speaking all these other languages. And it only makes me more known in the world. And I actually have a Wikipedia they built of me in Germany, I just saw. So, I mean, you become more of an international.
That's what happens, right? Hmm.
than a local, just America. And so I've done so many different things. I think I've joined the ranking of the ambiguously, memorable performer. Like, I've seen you somewhere, and I've gone to an event with a lot of other actors that do stuff like me. We all like kind of in the same boat. We're those vaguely familiar actors. We've seen you somewhere, and it's like, oh wait a minute, maybe I saw you on Lifetime, maybe I saw you on Ion, maybe I saw you.
Would you call yourself a character actor?
Um, I just call myself an actor. I'll do whatever the hell it takes to get to
Whatever
role.
it
I think
takes.
sometimes,
Phone rings, you pick it up.
yeah, I would say. I mean, if it takes me to be a character actor, then yeah, I think you almost have to have something that makes you stand out. What makes you different? What makes you unique? We all are all snowflakes. There's no two of us are the same, but sometimes we're a little the same. So I think it's imperative that we stand out and find a way to make ourselves unique, yet the same. Because in a way we have to be relatable, but yet unique. So you stand out, but relatable to the audience. And so all those things are important. And so I would say I do find myself wanting to be characterish in a sense. So I'm recognizable. And I think, when I was younger, we're always trying to find ourselves. I mean, as a performer, I think I'm always trying to find myself.
Hmm.
And I don't want to reinvent my wheel because I am getting cast. So I don't want to make drastic changes that make the wheel different. And I go, wait a minute, and there are times where I'm doing different characters where I look completely different, which is really good because I know I can look different for different things. I can comb my hair differently. I can completely shave. I look like a different human being. I don't look the same. And a lot of people, there's something about me that tells me, but then you're like, wow, I would never know that was you, that people would say. So I can look completely different. And which is good when you're portraying different characters. And but it may hurt you in a way that, I just want people always to know, oh, another guy. And that's important too. You want to be recognizable and relatable. And so as far as am I a character? In a way, yeah. And in a way, I want to make myself a character. I want to stand out. And a lot of times people will, I always make a point to talk with the producers to figure out why they hired me or what I did to get on the show. I worked in a show. I got one episode of a show called Keeping Up with the Joneses. And
Yes.
the Vivica Fox show. It's Vivica Fox is one of the producers, but Vivica Fox is in there. Ted McGinley, the guy from who else was it?
It was on Lifetime Movie Network.
Yeah, Eric Roberts is in there. The guy from Eddie and the Cruisers, Eddie from Eddie and the Cruisers was in there. And so they brought me in, and I was only to do one episode, but I was on every episode of the second season, but they brought me in just for one episode. And so they cast me in the role. I auditioned, they cast me. And through my efforts of just trying to make my auditions the best I can. How do you stand out? And I had to find a way to stand out, to be spot on. And how do you do that? And how do you create the character? And so I worked on doing that. So I got the part. But then I decided, once I got the part, now I got to perform. So I found out that it was a show that was already on, and it had a whole full first season. So I watched every episode of the first season to figure out who all the characters were, what the rhythm of the show was, just the things that everybody talked to you about when you're younger as an actor. Do your homework, watch the episode, see what's going on. So I did all that, and I watched everything, and I had this, I knew Ted McGinley's character was, what he was about, and I had this, I had inside, just internally, I had these opinions about these characters, and that I developed just from watching the show. So I went in and I did my episode. My first scene, my only scene was with Ted McGinley, who was Al Bundy's neighbor on Married with Children, and Ted McGinley's been in everything from
Love Boat and Happy Days, and yeah.
which to me was to work with somebody you grew up watching. It's pretty cool. And that's another thing too. When you work with somebody you grew up watching, because I had to perform and I had a lot of dialogue that day, I didn't really say anything until I was done because I didn't
Yeah.
want to screw up
You don't want to throw it
performance.
off, right?
I was like, okay, I don't want to throw myself off. So I didn't really say too much to him while I was before I was getting ready to film. So I go in and we start filming and we do my stuff. We had this, he had one comment for me, hey, don't do this. You're kind of cutting me off. I'm like, okay, Ted, I won't cut you off, buddy. And so I did my thing and then we did it. And it was a nice big scene and we did our stuff and he gave me his email address so we could stay in touch. And anyway, I did this, and a couple days later, after I did this, I get a call from the producer and they said, Joe, we love what you did and we decided to write you into the whole show. I'm like, oh my God. So they wrote me in and my part became from a 1-episode deal to writing me into every episode.
Yeah, right. I think it is. They know that you, and you can see it in your performances when people see you in film and television. You give 110%. You immerse yourself in that storyline, in that character, and you are all in. You morph right into them. You have elements of your own personality in there, but you morph in and you give 110%. You get the job done. You work well with everybody. People respond to it, the viewers, the fans. And I think that's what it is. People want to work with you because they know you're going to take that script and make magic with it.
Right. And you become one with the writer, which I'm sure writers would love to hear. It's like when I get a script and I want it basically on the train and the words of the track. And I want to put my train on the track and make sure that I'm on there so I can go smoothly on that track and be one with the writer. But yeah, it's really important for me to be authentic. And I think all of us, no matter who we are, it's always going to be me. It's going to be me portraying somebody, but really we can be anybody, and we can be a doctor, we can be a lawyer, we can be a professional. I can't be a professional football player now, but I could have been a retired professional football player back. So we could be almost anybody. So you can bring an element of yourself if you were that person to life. And so I remember after they booked me on that, I auditioned a couple more times for some other Lifetime shows, and the producers remembered me because they don't always grab you right away, but they remembered me and they brought me back for another Lifetime movie. And then so I went and started filming this other one. This one was called The Prince and the Pauper. That was on Ion and Hallmark. And so the producers, the producer guys of the show, I saw them. I knew who they were. So I make sure I know who everybody is. So that way, if I run into them, I can have like a conversation. So I was outside just kind of getting ready for one of my scenes. And I saw the producers. Yeah, Prince and the Pauper. Then I saw that you're good, very good. So I was outside, and the main producers, came up to me and they said, "Hey, we wanted to talk to you and say we love what you did on Keeping Up with the Joneses." And I told them what I did to prepare, and they really loved that. And at that point, they started, calling for me directly to be in their films. And I literally had 2 Christmas movies back to back in 1 year. And so it's been wonderful. And it's kind of the work I've been getting has been a combination of luck, preparedness, doing research, and being able to communicate with people when you see them and know who the players are and know to communicate, in a positive way, what you did to get there and what you're doing. And that translated into more and more work. And so, and I knew when I saw them, and there's a crew guy that was there. And after they left, I said, that was what they call a power meeting. Mm-hmm. So you could have power meetings anytime. You don't know when the hell they're going to be, but be ready for them. And just, I just had to know everybody associated with the production. Who are the line producers? Who are the showrunners? Who are the casting people? And keep that relationship going with them in a positive way. And because ultimately you want to keep on being used by them, and and we also make it easy for them as well, because the casting process is very daunting. It's a very, very difficult process, and it's a long process. But if they got somebody that they know can fill a role, then that makes their life a little bit easier.
Right.
And
Exactly.
so that's kind of what I want to bring to the table, is that, that when anybody gives me anything, hey, I'm an older fellow, but I do my homework. I don't take anything for granted. And there's nothing in this world that takes the place of pure hard work. Because, when you're a kid, you think, oh, this is all I'm going to spend doing it. And your thought pattern has to change. Is what is it going to take to get this thing done? And it may take hours, days, weeks. It may take the most amazing
Years.
thing you've ever done. But it's, what is it going to take for me to get this part, or do this job, or do this? It could mean staying up all night one night to learn something, or to not go out with your friends, or to maybe put aside a personal life for a while because I just have to do this. And it's like, what sacrifices are you going to have to make to get this? And sometimes we have to do that if what you want is so powerful and so strong that
Don't doubt yourself too. Continue to believe in yourself, because there's rejection, there's naysayers, there's self-doubt, there's self-negative talk, all these things. Just keep going forward, right?
All those things. You got that right. And the funny thing you say that, I mean, I think every performer does that, because I've had some great work this year. I've had to work hard. A lot of it has been from auditioning for newer people, people hiring me again, newer relationships. But you still, I was just talking to somebody else about this, and I'll share something with you. And I think everybody can apply it to their lives. But with not doubting yourself, I think every day in life we can doubt ourselves, and I still doubt myself. But then by the end of the day, I'm like, I'm all amped up again. But I have pictures on my wall of things I've done to remind me what I've done, and that everything is possible, and no matter what. And because sometimes you may think there's no way, but you could be watching TV and all of a sudden I'm working with these people the very next day, and that's happened. And so I do have to remind myself every day that it's possible, and I forget all these things I've done, and I got to remember. And I think we all can. But one thing, you made me realize one thing I did want to always talk about, and I've talked about with a lot of people, is sometimes I get roles that are so exciting, and I'm just on top of the moon, and it's okay. And I'm learning, and I've learned this, but I can't allow our psyche is a very powerful thing, and it's a dangerous thing. And you see things in our world with how we feel in life is so important. And we all can wake up in the morning and feel bad or negative one day, and that's part of all of our lives. But having the tools to get through that, and to know or to prepare yourself for that are important. So for me, I've done a couple things in the years I've been doing this, and that is, when I get something, and I've had to learn this actually more recently this year. If I get something, don't allow myself to get too darn well. I can't get full of myself, and it's when I was younger I probably could be, but now the only thing I get full of myself is the hard work, because anything I get is from hard work and figuring out, how can I get this? Not we're all the same. We all can shine, and we just have to know that if we give ourselves permission to shine. And so none of us are any better than anybody else, but are you willing to do the hard work? And that's the key. But one thing I've learned this year is not to allow myself, when I get something that is pretty cool, to mentally go up too high, because the higher you let yourself go, I'm sorry, that is how high you have to drop. And our brain is a very powerful thing. And sometimes we can allow ourselves to go high, to go really high. And I'm not saying to not be appreciative, but to control your excitement and just realize, hey, I worked hard and I'm appreciative and I'm grateful. But don't get so elated where you just, oh my God, it's everything is going to be peaches and roses, because that's not a guarantee. And so I've learned that it's like, and if you do a part, it could get shortened, and they may take out a really cool scene you did, all these things. So don't get terribly excited until after it airs. Then maybe you get a little bit, then you can like add a little bit more to it. But because it can happen, and it's horrific. It's a horrible, horrible feeling when you do
Ending
something.
up on the editing floor. Yeah.
It happens. And so for me,
Yeah.
I've made different decisions where like, okay, I want supporting roles only. Like I used to hear other people saying, I'm only going to do supporting roles, and I'm only doing this, or starring, or whatever. And I kind of get it. And once things kind of, you see things that go wrong, or you're not happy with, that's when you start seeing why people start saying and asking for different things. And you kind of learn as you go along, what things to anticipate, what things to ask for, all these things. But the key is, I think, in any walk in life, no matter what, nothing is technically forever, bad stuff or good stuff. So don't allow yourself to get too hyped up, because that's how far you got to drop. And and I think anybody that knows our psyche knows that the brain is a very powerful thing. And if it goes the wrong direction, it's very dangerous. And so you see a lot of that in our world today. There are a lot of people that are going through horrible things, and they do things to offset that feeling, that psyche. But I think if we prepare ourselves and do some certain things, we can get through these things, and we can do it the right way. And it's just being prepared, knowing what can happen if you get too excited about things. Right. And don't allow yourself to get too low, because you don't deserve to be that low. So it's important that remain like a balance. It's okay to be excited, but for me, and that's what I've learned in my life this year, because I've had some great things, but you know what? Then there's some people I don't hear from for a while, and I get, it gets like, oh, I haven't heard from them in a while, or whatever. And, and luckily, one thing I always turn to is, for me, my return to this, and going back to finishing where I started when I was younger, was I am going to be appreciative with every day. I am grateful with where I am in life, and I've had to work hard to get where I am. So sometimes I have to turn everything off and just go, wait a second. It's kind of like a basketball game. You see.
Me too. Yeah.
Turn
it all off.
Yeah, they miss a shot, and they're good players, and they got all this. They've done very well, but they're angry at that moment. It's like, okay, well, I'm angry at this shot in this game, and whatever. And I got to remember, wait a minute, I got so much to be thankful for. My children, my health, my friends, everything that I've, having a home to live in. I had to work hard to get a home. It's been it's tough, especially in California. So I can turn it off, and because I don't want to never not be grateful. And I think, and I heard you talking about this with my brother in the last thing. I think it was frequency. I'm big into frequency. And so I think it's important for us. I believe in frequency. In fact, you had another person, I'm sort of follower of you. You had another person who was an artist, and she would say how she'd listen to music. And when she turned on the music, it would elevate your intelligence and your frequency. And for me, I know that for me to continue to do whatever I'm doing in life, I have to come and have that frequency, and to build that frequency. It's not hocus pocus. It's just common sense.
Yeah. And the balance too. Got to have that balance.
That balance. And when I do things like that, things, I think there's laws to our world. I think there's more to our existence than we know, which goes in line with my brother, with the other dimensions and the other worlds. But I think, there's a lot of mystery. And I think, we're in the real, within our world now, and there's ways that we have to operate within our own realm, our own rules. But I think our world was created with rules and things. I think that, part of it is being appreciative. Part of it is giving back. I believe in giving back and giving. And I find that when you come from that place and even witness other people giving, it gets returned. And you're in that frequency of giving. And I think when you give, it allows things to come back. And when that giving mentality. And so it's important, and these are things that I find extremely important, because there are times where I feel down or whatever, we all do, but it's like, wait a minute, I got to return to love. How can I do that? How can I return to that levity? How can I return to that? And it could be listening to music. It could be just turning it off and just going and mowing my damn lawn.
Yeah.
Weed whacking, or going to
Right. Yeah. Getting out in nature and breathing, swimming in the ocean, whatever it may be, going for a run.
Yeah, it's so funny. As I get older, I get scared of everything. So oceans kind of scare me because of sharks. But a couple weeks ago,
there's been a lot of sharks lately everywhere. Yeah.
Sharks. So a couple weeks ago, I was just like, you know what?
But there's sharks on land too, as we all know.
Yes. Oh yeah. Yes, there is.
They may be worse than the ones in the ocean.
Oh yes, there are.
The ones in the ocean they take your leg, but they don't take your money.
That's right. So I went to the ocean and a couple of weeks ago, and I said, screw it. I just jumped in. I just went body surfing. I figured, well, if a shark comes on me, he's only going to get my leg, and I won't be that deep in, and I'll just beat the hell out of him. I was like, okay, screw it. I'm ready to fight a shark. I'll just hit him on the top of the head.
You'll go all Baltimore on him, right?
I would have to go all Baltimore, New York on him. I was like, you know what? This is what I got to do. I'm not going to let them scare me. If I got to fight a damn shark.
So that guy would come out.
Oh yeah, that guy would come out.
You talking to me, shark?
That's right. That's exactly right. And so I figured, but it was honestly, it was exhilarating, and it was great, because sometimes we need that. Well, I know I needed that, and so as I play this game of life, and I just want to, I've succeeded in my own way. I've succeeded, but I'm not finished yet. And again, that puts me in a certain place where I feel content.
Yes, and it sounds
a wonderful feeling. Yeah. But I'm not done by any means.
No, you're still going, but it sounds like there's also something else brewing, meaning I see teaching others, mentoring others. I see motivational speaking. I see some of that in you, talking about your experiences, your understanding of the human condition, which I'm very in tune with as well, and love diving into those kinds of topics. I see that in you, that as much as you are the actor, you are Joe, the person who's lived life and all these different experiences and scenarios.
Right. Yeah, I would, from that perspective, I think I would, at this point, I have no desire to teach or write or produce or anything like that. I just like to perform. However, I think it's my duty to give back.
I see you doing some motivational speaking too.
Well, I could do that.
See that.
Well, that would be fun. I wouldn't mind doing that, and that is fun. I enjoy that. But I do find it. I am empathetic, and I do know that I care for people that are going through hard times, and I find myself wanting to at least give some insight in a way to help people if they are going through something difficult. I do find reward in that. I think that you say that. I think as we get older, as each generation gets older, we go to different levels, and I do feel at my age now, we are. We're no longer the younger generation. We are the older. I don't know how old you are, but I'll speak for myself. But you're too young yet, right? So the way I see it is, it's my time to be a leader to the younger generation, and they want us. The younger generation needs men in their 50s, I'm 56, to become leaders, and in whatever way that is. It means to act like a leader, behave like a leader, to help like a leader, to perform like a leader, and we are that. It is our time. It is our turn. So that way, when the younger generation gets here, so that's kind of where I am now. But it really means not acting young and acting green, but acting like who I am and acting like the age that I am. And
a seasoned veteran, yeah,
a seasoned veteran and a leader. I think when we get older, we are leaders. When you're older, we are leaders.
Yeah, you've earned the spot, right?
And that we are the next group in line.
Have
And
you also, and you also learn to say no more and not always jump for every single thing and be everywhere all the time. And you also start to look at yourself and start to not be as hard on yourself as maybe you were in the early years. You could still push yourself, still strive for excellence and all the rest, but maybe let up on yourself a little bit more as the experience is there and you've made your mark and people know and respect you and know what you're going to deliver and they
I,
appreciate it.
I, I
It's
still,
a cool thing.
yeah, I still, I,
You're still
I,
hard on yourself.
I still a little hard on myself because I think as we go through life and as we get older, we're changing. You know, I'm not the 20-year-old Joe. I'm not the 30-year-old Joe. I'm not the 40-year-old Joe. I'm actually the 50-year-old Joe, and he's breathing down that next decade. And so um, I want to. Anybody that does this, you want to stay relevant. And how do you do it? And so you do little things, but you can be hard on yourself if you do something that, you know, in our world, it can be, we can be hard on ourselves. And
Does age scare you?
no, I'm grateful for my age. I'm grateful
There's a lot of
for,
people that didn't even make it to this point, right? Yeah.
right. I actually, well, now that you say that, I actually lost a good friend that I grew up with. I went to, I don't want to mention his name because I think he'd be, you know, it's so funny. I feel like in tune as well, and you would get it with my brother and stuff, but I feel in tune that I have an obligation to who we have here, but we have an obligation to people that were once here. And so I actually had a
Yeah.
good friend that I grew up with. His name was Glenn Wagner. We went to grade school together. We were in basically first grade through eighth grade. And we were good friends when we were younger. I used to take trips with his family. His family was like a second family to me. They would invite me to they had a second residence in Ocean City, Maryland, and they would invite me to go there. I would go on these cool little vacations and trips with them. And my childhood friend, and I'm 56. He would call me every couple months, and I would say maybe every 6 months, 5 months, and just to see, hey, just checking in, see how things are going religiously. And it's like I remember all the times where I was on a treadmill, or I was out jogging, or whatever. He would constantly call me, and he was he was better at it than me. I wish I was good at it. I wasn't, but he would constantly do that. And just a couple of days ago, he passed away. They don't really know what happened yet, but he was a really, and so you
Big
know,
part of your life.
a big part of your life and your identity, because it makes you look back and you think, okay, this was my young friend that I grew up with, that he was actually cool, because my parents had 5 kids, and he was like kind of an only child, so he had the cooler shoes, the cooler clothes. So I always wanted to, like, and he introduced me back in the day to Izod. Back in the day, back in the early 80s, Izod was like the cool thing. If you were cool, you had an Izod shirt, Izod socks,
I saw everything, right?
all that stuff. So it's like, so he helped really. So, you know, honestly, when I get my clothes now, I think about how I felt when I was younger and wanting to, you know, to be impressive and dress cool like my buddy did. And so there's these people that influence our lives in such a big way. And you may not be, and if you really take time to stop and think, you realize, oh. And so I'm grateful that I did take the calls. I'm grateful that we had that. But you know, you never know as we get older what could happen. And so it's just
And it can happen
important that
suddenly. Yeah.
it's important that we keep that in mind, and it's also important that we make sure that the people we are close with, that we let them know, hey, you know what, I'm grateful for you,
That you care
or
about. Yeah.
yeah, that you care about, or people that, you know, like for me, I don't know about you, but like for me, you know, I have people that I'm friends with, but I wouldn't say I can necessarily hang with them. You
Right.
know, it's very limited. There's very few people I would say that I could really kind of like hang with and just talk. I don't know what it is, but for some reason, most of my friends growing up have always been Virgos. Anybody that's a Virgo, I can spot them. All my close friends have always been Virgos. It's really weird, but there's very few people that I can just hang with, and Glenn was one of those people I could just hang. So now I know that, and it made me realize too that when that if there are people like that, make it a point to make some time, if they're close, to go meet up with them and just hang with them for a little bit. That you feel people that you feel comfortable hanging with. Give
Right.
them that,
Exactly. Yeah.
and make that, and make sure you make your conversations meaningful. I mean, we never know, and I think life, we know life is not forever, and there's I believe there's more to it, and I know these people that go on are the people that we will see again, and they're going to greet us when we go to that next place. Now, Jim, you've met a lot of wonderful people that you're going to have a lot of people greeting you when you get ready to go to that next dimension. You're gonna have a lot of people there, and I know that I know
We've even had some guests who have been on the series who have since passed away. Anita Pointer from the Pointer Sisters. I mean, there have been people who've come through, and then we've found out, 6 months later or what have you, that they're no longer with us. And now that episode that we did and that conversation that we had, which was amazing, becomes something not just of historic value, but also have a deep meaning for it. I've had some, show it to their family and their grandkids upon the passing of that particular guest, which is really something unbelievable. You never think about that. And so it makes you really, really think about what it's all about. What's it all about, Alfie? And I think if you take time, which we are living in an environment where everything's so fast and ramped up and quick, and quick videos and all kinds of stuff like that, but you do need to take time. We're built to take time to connect and to pause, breathe, and reflect and relish in what we've just done before we jump to the next thing, and
Right.
to have the human connection. We've been losing some of that in recent years, and I hope that we're able to turn things around and come back, because it makes the world a lot more manageable for people when there's connection and when there's kindness, empathy, some of the things you're talking about as well, but also the understanding that life is short and precious. So, if your Wi-Fi goes out for 10 minutes or something happens, it's not the end of the earth. You know what I mean? You're healthy and you're vertical and your family's okay, and a couple of dollars in the bank that you've worked hard for.
I got to tell you, so back in the day, everything was archived through letters and things like that. So, most people don't write things down anymore. But what we're doing now, these podcasts are saved, and this is going to be what will live on to see what we were like during this time and what was society like. So, what we're doing right now is what the future will see. And this is how it's archived. This is the writing, the paper and pencil that was done a long time ago. This is what's going to be used for the future. So we're creating that now for people to be able to see it. So, which is pretty cool when you think
Exactly. And life can be unpredictable, and anything can happen, as we've learned in the recent years. I mean, you can even have an Arctic Armageddon. How's that for a segue?
So thank you for that segue. So this was this is my third film for a production company called Asylum Films, and these are the producers of Sharknado.
Oh, yes, that's right.
And
We had the creator of Sharknado on the show not that long
they're the
ago.
creators of Sharknado, and they asked me to star in this film called Arctic Armageddon, and I was starring in it with Patrick Levitot. And Patrick Levitot was on Love Boat. He was on he's not in that poster there, but that's me in the poster. See how I look different when I can part my hair differently, completely shave. I look like a different human being. But
You're an actor, yeah.
Patrick Levitot was in Jag, and so he stars in this movie with me. And it's on Apple. I know it's on Tubi. It's on Amazon. There's a lot of different places you can stream it. In fact, most of the stuff on my Lifetime movies, whether it's To Kill a Stepfather or Keeping Up with the Joneses or Arctic Armageddon or let me see, or anything Lifetime, is always going to be on Amazon. Amazon pretty much grabs all these things and you can still watch them. But Arctic Armageddon was pretty fun. I filmed that out here, and I was on my feet a lot. It's kind of like, when you do the work, it's kind of like a little bit like construction work. You could be on your feet. I was in almost every scene. every scene I was in, every scene I was in, but every scene I was in, each day I was in almost every scene that day. So when I was filming, so you could be on your feet a long time. And when you get older, it's a lot. And we were doing 12-hour days. It's pretty hard work. So when you're done, you're kind of grateful. And, the real celebrating comes, now when I can talk about what I did, but it can be pretty tough, hard, grueling work. And just showing up isn't enough. You got to be prepared. But
where was it shot?
In Hollywood, in a studio, not on any of the major lots, but it was a bigger lot where they film independent films and a lot of commercials. And it was a big old studio where they do a lot of sci-fis. So it was a big studio, and I filmed another film there, a space movie where I saved the Earth, and I filmed that asylum film at the same production company. You showed that, I think, a little while ago.
Is that Moon Crash?
Moon Crash, yeah. Well, not the same studio.
There it is.
And
wow, same studio.
Same studio. So, but Asylum Films has been great. They've been a great vehicle for me, and the staff that they have, the writer staff.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool to go there and you see all these.
You see it all, right?
Well, that, and when you go to the production offices, there's sharks everywhere. So it's pretty cool to see sharks everywhere, because they're Sharknado, and that's the biggest thing. But they're a pretty cool outfit.
You've done so much stuff.
Yeah, it's been great, and that was a hunt, or what do you call it, thriller, haunted.
You were Douglas Anderson in that, yeah.
I can't even. You know what? I've had so many character names I can't remember.
On this too.
This was Fentanyl Wars, which used to be called Opiate Diaries, and that's also on Amazon. And that's a good one because it really outlines the how powerful and dangerous opioids can be. I think we're living in a world. Oh, that film I worked with. Keep that one up for a second. I'm going to pull it up real quick. That one is I can tell you some of it's really cool because when you work on some of these things, you're working with actors that you used to watch before.
You're right. Younger. And then they're on with you.
and they're on with you. And it's, I will never not get a kick out of it. But let me tell you this one character.
Was this on Hallmark or Lifetime? Lifetime.
This was Lifetime.
Lifetime, yeah. Yeah.
Aaron Gray.
Yeah.
So Aaron Gray started this, and this was on LMN. And Aaron Gray, for all, I guarantee your levity people know she is. She was on Rogers back in '79, Buck Rogers. And
that's
so I
right.
worked and she was on Magnet. She did an episode of Magnet PI, but she was on Buck Rogers. Oh, and then she was on Silver Spoons. She was Ricky Schroeder's mother.
Ricky Schroeder. That's right. That's right.
And so when you work, it's so damn
amazing, fabulous actress. Yeah.
Nostalgic. So I just get a kick out of all that stuff. And then this one, that one, just The Prince and the Pauper. Who was in that one? I was with again, it really makes me happy when I work with people that I grew up watching. It just kind of I don't know, it's pretty cool. Let me tell you who's in that. Tom Arnold. The one for Prince and the Pauper. Tom Arnold was in Prince and the Pauper. That actually, there he's in a kind of the far corner. That's Tom Arnold. So he's in there. And then this was actually, this is one of the streaming shows I did. And it's one on the stream. And there's so many platforms nowadays, but that one's up to I think that one's up to 12 million views. It's second highest on their platform. So, and these things that you showed there, that's an independent film. That's on Tubi, I believe. And a lot of these film, I helped produce that one. I was more. You
did. Do you like the producing side of things?
No, I'm not. I am a
not the answer you expected him to say, right, folks?
No,
he said that fast.
Yeah. I said, yeah. You know what? If there's somebody, if I can help, maybe do a little bit of investment, I'm all for it. And so, he's a good friend of mine. He's done a lot of these shows, and I support him. And so I have a lot of people I've worked on different productions with in the past. And then if I have a ability to contribute, I will. And so in a way, and I'll always do that. But Chris Notori, he is he produces a lot of these things, and then I'll sometimes contribute and get executive producing and stuff like that. But I don't have a desire to. I mean, I could have all these things I've done. I could direct, I could produce, I could do all that stuff. But I honestly, I told myself that for me to do what I'm doing now and to really push that, if I'm not having, I'm here to have fun. I'm here to work hard, have fun. And so what I enjoy performing, and that's what I like to do. And I like to create these characters. I love to be somebody that I'm not. And I love to portray characters that are cocky and sure of themselves and will, where there's no, consequences to your actions. And I love that. And I love being somebody that I'm not. And I just thoroughly enjoy it. And I love performing, and plain and simple. And so for me, I'm sure if something presented itself, I could jump in there in 2 seconds and go along and help with it. But I'm a true businessman. I'm a performer, but I am a true businessman. And so I'm only going to do something if I really put myself out there that I think is going to really have legs, because it's got to be, as you get older, you do things. I leaped a lot. There's a lot of leaping. And now I step onto solid foundations. And so it doesn't mean I work hard, but I'm not going to take a giant leap for anything. And it could be something I'm passionate about, and it could just be a passion project. That could be possible.
Would you ever write a book?
No, I have no desire for that either. It's horrible. No.
Maybe
No,
one day, right? Telling the stories.
I guess I could. I'm honestly, Jim, I hate to use the word honestly, but I'm a talker and not a writer. If people go and try to text me, I'll get on the phone and call them.
It's like being a lover, not a fighter. I'm a talker, not a writer.
Yes, yeah. I'm a talker, not a writer. I'm a performer, not a producer. And I don't. I'm like, if someone starts texting me, you're going to find me calling you pretty fast, because I hate to say it, but I hate texting. I hate long emails. I can't stand it. But I'm verbose as hell, and I'll talk to you forever. And so I'll talk. And if you want to take my word, but with AI, hell, if I'll get something, if they can write down what the hell I'm saying, and we can fix all that and whatever.
You could be in bed right now, and this other character version of you could be doing the talking, the heavy lifting. No, I don't think you'd like that, because you like to do it. You like to talk.
I want to be the one talking. I want to be the one doing it. But, to me, what I do, and anything you see me in, like, I want to be there. Which is 100%. I'm not going to be on any project to do anything that I don't want to do. That's for damn sure. So and I know Tony Orlando would say the same damn thing. I am not going to do anything that I don't want to do. I'm not going to sit anywhere. I'm not going to be anywhere. If I don't want to be there, I'm not going to be there. Hell no. So wherever I am, whoever I'm with, whoever I'm talking to, this is where I want to be. And this is what I want to do. That is for sure. And
you want to sing that song for Tony?
Oh, yeah. Did you have
You can lead off. I've never sung that song. I've hummed it, but I've never sung Tie a Yellow Ribbon around the yellow tree. We've sung together and in groups and choral groups, but not
can't sing it wrong. And I think because he's retired from performing, out of respect to Tony Orlando, who I think is the coolest dude, next to Fonzarelli,
Henry Winkler.
He is the coolest dude too. I think
would love to get him on the show. We've had everybody around him. We've had Anson Williams, Don Most, Marion Ross, everybody, Patrick Duffy, Linda Pearl. I mean, all around. He's got his new book out, his memoir, which is doing very well.
Go on. Have you tried to reach out to him?
We're just like 1 degree separation.
I kind of made some messages. I'll see what I can do. He'd be perfect for you, but honestly, he's
wonderful.
growing up, he was the coolest dude on the planet. Anybody that graduated from 1986 in high school, from high school, you're the coolest dude when we were kids was Henry Winkler. Fonzarelli, because he could hit a jukebox and it would turn on. He could just go, hey, I mean, this guy was the coolest guy on the planet. Who didn't want to be him? And it's like, and now as I listen to him and who he is now as a person and his books,
Yes.
empathy and just who he is as a person, he is still the coolest dude in the world. And so Tony Orlando and he are
Tony Orlando's sweetheart of a guy. I mean, when people are around him, he's so kind. And when during his final concert, or as far as part of his tour, people just couldn't say enough phenomenal things about him, and so many celebrities actually recorded these messages who couldn't be there, and the things that they said about him were just, he's really one of the good guys. Yeah.
He is. He's great. And again, just being raised with his music, and with these songs and hearing them that he would play.
And remember how big that song became during the hostage crisis in the early 80s? People tied yellow ribbons around all the trees.
Right.
That song took on, that was in the 70s, but then in the early 80s, when the Iran hostage thing happened for 444 days, they were tying yellow ribbons around the trees, playing that song, praying and hoping that the hostages would come home. And then when they did come home, thankfully, that song was playing and there were ribbons everywhere and it was a big thing. So that song has taken a life unto itself beyond just being a pop song.
So I'm going to ask you this. I'm going to quiz you and your listeners. So in the song, he requested, a yellow ribbon around an oak tree. My question to everybody is, and I want to see if you know too, Jim, how many ribbons were actually on the oak tree when he got there? Do you know?
He said it once too. How many? Just
the
one?
How many ribbons were on the oak tree when he actually got there?
Was it just the one?
Well, I don't know if I want to answer yet, but I want your.
Oh, you want the viewers to?
Maybe they could ask and tell us what they think it is. How many ribbons are on?
Maureen's saying 1,000. She's in Arizona.
1,000. Yeah. No, it's not 1,000. It's not 1,000.
Gang, yeah. Take a guess while we're here live. And Joe knows the answer. I know I've heard the answer before. I don't recall it. So Maureen thinks 1,000. What was really beautiful, Joe, was when Tony went back to Branson, Missouri, after he did Vegas, Atlantic City, and then Mohegan Sun.
Right.
When he went back, there were all these people waiting for him at the airport with flags and yellow ribbons. Wow. And then the town, Branson, tied yellow ribbons on all the trees and all of the marquees for the theaters and stages. Welcome home, Tony. It was like a whole thing with the yellow ribbons everywhere. And that was just, in the like around April, May, when he did his big tour finale. How cool is that, huh?
That is really cool. So now
Rick Courier says 2,500. Sherry Larson says it was covered in yellow ribbons, hundreds. It
was 100.
100.
100. It was 100 yellow ribbons.
She added the zero. That's right. The 100. Yeah. That makes total sense. Yeah. Cool stuff, huh?
He put his head down and he told the bus driver, I cannot look, but when we get in front of the house, let me know how many ribbons are on that tree. And the whole bus was roaring and screaming because they saw 100 yellow ribbons on the oak tree.
It's really amazing. It's been a song of positivity and hope and empathy and love. And again, he's got so many songs that Knock Three Times and Candida and
Knock Three Times is a good one. Knock Three Times on the Ceiling if you want me.
Knock Three Times.
Twice on the Floor.
That's right. Candida. I mean, just on and on and on. So I'm coming home. I've done my time.
Yeah, yeah, okay, yeah.
Tie
I
a
gave
yellow
you,
ribbon around the old oak
yeah.
tree.
So you and I can sing it in tribute to him, but we got to do it together. And I'm not a singer. I don't know if you're a singer, so
I've never sung this one.
well, we'll do our
You know,
best.
we did as a kid and all the rest, but yeah, we'll try to see if we can keep
Let's
on.
do it together. I've
I'll
never.
have you. You're the guest, so you can lead.
Okay, but you
I'll
got
be
to
the
go with me now.
conductor.
You got the lyrics right in front of you, so make sure you have
Yeah,
them.
we got the lyrics right here.
And then we're
Exactly.
just going to go right to where your line stops because it's not the whole thing. You know what I mean? Just to
It stops with, "If I don't see a yellow ribbon around the old oak tree."
yes,
Right.
right there. Then we're good. That'll be enough to pay
In
tribute.
honor of our
In
wonderful
honor of
Tony Orlando.
And Tony Orlando, my brother, my
He
grandfather.
watches our show too. He's a big fan of it.
Good.
So
That's
Tony,
good.
this one's for you.
Here we go. I'm coming home. I've done my time. Now I've got
to
to
know what it is and isn't mine.
If
If
you
you
receive
received my letter
tell
telling
me,
you I'd soon
telling
be
you
free,
I can be free, then you
then
will
you'll know just what to do if you still want me. If you still want me. Tie a yellow ribbon round the old oak tree.
It's
It's
been
been
3
long years. Do you still want me?
If I don't see a
I don't
yellow
see a ribbon round that old oak tree.
tree,
I'll stay on the
I'll stay on
bus.
the
Forget
bus.
about us. Put the
Put the
blame on me. If
if
I don't see a yellow ribbon
around the
around the old oak tree.
Thank you, Tony Orlando,
High
for all
five.
the music. High
High
five.
five.
Perfect. First time
I've been
you
on
and
the air talking for 9 hours. I'm surprised I was even able to do that a little bit on the radio and television earlier today. Good stuff, my friend. I think we can go on the road together, huh?
we
Tie a
can.
yellow ribbon
We
around
can
that old oak tree.
and it's just such a beautiful song. But you know what? We have to pay tribute to the people that are our foundations and what we grew up with, and respect to them because you know we owe it to them, and they are the past is our future, and you know we should let them know we're grateful. And then from everything we've learned, it's good that people let them know that we're grateful. And he was in all our homes, and again, it brought my grandfather to this moment, my brother, and what we grew up with, and things, and so and you and I.
Absolutely. That's
Right,
right,
right.
my friend. What are some other things that you're excited about that you have coming up?
I have this new series I'm working on. They just sent me a contract right now.
We'll have to have you on if we do another one of our Christmas shows. We'll have you on, and we've had guests on where we've all sang Christmas carols and
I love that.
all of that. Yeah,
That sounds
Frida Payne and I sang happy birthday to one another because our birthdays, I'm a Libra, but with Virgo rising.
Yeah.
So
Well,
we like balance and harmony. And that's why we click. And Frida Payne, the birthday is like only a couple of days away from mine. And when we realized that she was a guest a couple of times on the series, we decided to sing happy birthday to one another. And it was terrific. It was such a beautiful thing to do. So if we do a Christmas show, maybe we'll have you on and join in with the rest and sing Christmas.
So my next thing I'm doing
Jingle
now
bells.
It's a new series. It's called Fatal Games, and I play Detective Powell. Here's my contract. I can't show it to you, but I started doing that. And you know, ironically, part of the big thing nowadays, what they want you to do is they do want you to promote. It's part of what you do when you sign on to anything is that you have to be available to promote, and they want you to promote. So that's really good. Oh, I was thinking something else. 2 weeks ago, I was filming in I was filming in this house. I'm jumping topics here, but I thought about it because I was filming in this house, and a lot of times I play these characters or I play this wealthy guy, and it was supposed to be my house. And this house was huge. It was in Alhambra, and it was so big. I'm like, who the heck's house is this? It was older, and it was big. And I'm thinking, whose house was this? And then someone told me I was filming in Phil Spector's old house. And I filmed one of the streaming shows I did in Phil's house. Didn't you have his first wife on?
We're still very, very close to the family, and this is after Ronnie Spector and Phil had divorced. She remarried. Her husband was also her manager, and my family and her family are very close. And one of her sons is like a best friend of mine, and so yeah, she was a dear, dear, dear friend, and we saw her often, and the families were intertwined. Very beautiful person, and lost her not only about 2 years ago.
Yes.
And
Episode.
yeah, but what a voice! Her voice. Ronnie Spector is another one. A distinctive sound that can't be really mimicked. Amy Winehouse actually admired her, and a lot of the
Really?
Amy Winehouse imagery was paying homage to Ronnie whenever Ronnie would go over to England to perform, because she, believe it or not, the Beatles opened up for Ronnie Spector. They were the opening act for Ronnie Spector, and the song Say Goodbye to Hollywood," that was written by Billy Joel for Ronnie Spector, and
Oh,
he wrote the foreword to her memoir. Really amazing stuff, huh? And he just had his big, not his farewell, but he had his wrap up 10-year gig at Madison Square Garden in New York City. Now he's touring around, but 10-year residency at MSG in New York was amazing. And he just had a blowout concert. Billy Joel was also the very last event of any kind at Shea Stadium in New York, where the New York Mets used to play before they built Citi Field. And he was the final thing. And there's video of it somewhere. It was an incredible concert, packed stadium. And you could see, he was in Shea Stadium, but behind him, the way he had him positioned on stage, was Citi Field, the new stadium that was pretty much built. So here he's saying goodbye. It was the final farewell to Shea Stadium in New York City, in Queens, right next to the World's Fair grounds, too, the 1964 World's Fair grounds. And it was really something. So, yeah, these are all.
Andrew Dice Clay, I think, performed at Shea Stadium. Did he not?
So many people did. Yes. And even a couple of times the Yankees played there when their stadium was being rebuilt, or there was construction. They would play at Shea Stadium. The New York Jets played at Shea Stadium as well. They'd reposition the baseball field to a football field a couple of times when they were in transit. Baltimore. Yeah, you guys had the Colts disappear on you overnight and go to Indianapolis. That was crazy. It's like when the Dodgers left Brooklyn. So a lot of the Dodger fans of then in New York, a lot of them, if they weren't Yankee fans, they went with the Mets.
Baltimore people were sad. In fact, they had a Baltimore Colt marching band that kept going on for years and years and years. In fact, they may still have it. I've been gone from Baltimore for a while, but they still had a march. They were terribly upset.
They were. Do you get back to the East Coast at all?
Not that much.
You still have family and friends, people on the East Coast?
My sister's there, and my goddaughter's getting married, and I think I'll be going back in November for a wedding for the weekend, on the weekends. And so I have to make sure. Well, I'm hoping I don't book anything, because sometimes you're going to do contracts and you can't get out of it. But that's the only thing difficult about doing the entertainment stuff. You could start filming something and you're under contract, and you kind of messes up a little bit of
the phone rings. They want you for something else, or something that you were thinking about, you were on hold for, or we'll get back to you. Then they call as soon as you get the yes for the other.
Right. The logistics can be a little bit difficult, but it's all doable. It can all work, but yeah.
Seems like you're in a sweet spot, my friend. You're really. You're settled. You're still passionate, enthusiastic, still hard on yourself. All these things. I am, same way. I still am hard on myself. While everybody else is saying that was great, I love it, it was fantastic, I knocked it out of the park, I still look at it from a different lens, a more critical lens, no matter what it is I do in television, radio, or any performance stuff. So I think it's good because it keeps you fresh and curious. And if you get too satisfied with everything, then it gets a little boring. And not that you want to always be overthinking and not sleeping and everything, but I think when you do have that extra juice in you to strive for the excellence, it keeps it fresh and alive, and everything is new, and you challenge yourself, and you
It's very
keep moving
important.
forward, right?
Yeah, it does. And for me, it's to do all that. It's a combination of making sure I still work out every day, making sure I eat right. 95% of staying in shape is really diet, because you could, you know, run all the time and do all the exercise in the world, but if you're eating nonstop, that's like the worst thing for you. So for me, I make sure that I'm watching my diet, doing all those things, and then of course
Yes. You get
my
any
work.
of those Maryland blue crabs shipped your way?
You know what? I have a buddy that has done it. He keeps telling me I need to do it, and I'm going to do it, and I need to because I miss them terribly.
Yeah,
And,
they're the best. Yeah.
and crab cakes. I mean, but I do miss them, and you can. I believe you can do them, and it's not that expensive, and it's worth. I really need to do it instead of like going to an expensive restaurant in Beverly Hills.
They'll ship them to you. Yeah.
Ship right to my darn house, and have them come right here, and then I will. That's what I need to do. You know what? That's my bucket list. Maybe write that down. I just wrote that down. Baltimore.
Write that down.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Crab cakes shipped. The
Crab cake
Maryland
chips.
blue
But
crabs
you're
shipped.
right. You need to stay passionate, and I am, and my feet are in the sand, and meaning that this is something that I've dedicated. I'll do until I can't do it anymore, and it's just I do enjoy it that much. So I'll keep on going, and but there were, as when I was younger, there were certain things or certain people I ran into, who I met, and I've learned things from. And I remember I met the guy who wrote Hello, Dolly, Jerry Herman.
Jerry Herman. Yeah. His daughter
And
was on our show recently.
really, see,
Yeah.
everybody.
Celebrating. She's doing an auction at the house there in California of many of the artifacts and his items, and a big
Really?
auction coming up in a couple
Oh,
of weeks.
I would love to go because I had met him, and he
You did.
is
Yeah.
his
Hello, Dolly, and Mame too.
and well, here's the thing. So my agent, the agent I had back in New York, invited me to go to a Broadway show. It was Jerry Herman's Greatest Hits, and he invited me, and I went to go, and we sat next to the guy who wrote Fiddler on the Roof. I'm like, oh my God! I mean, these are two of the people, the greatest plays in my childhood besides Annie, that I grew up with. So wow, it was just incredible. So then we went backstage, and I met Jerry Herman, and it was so profound to me, not just because of Jerry Herman, but the way he was thinking. So we're back. I went backstage to meet him, and he has this paper, and he was irritated. He was pretty angry. And I'm like, he's like the reviews. I'm getting horrible reviews, and he was all upset about his reviews. And it made me think: at what point do we ever allow ourselves to be happy? And I just thought, how could you let that even get to you? Because you wrote these songs that will live forever, that you're an icon on Broadway. Your words and your songs and your music will live forever. How can you still feel this way? How can you let it really get to you? Because it was really disturbing him. And I made it a point. It was very powerful to me. So when I get that way about anything, I remember Jerry Herman. And I remember it's like, you know what? I always thought that he should be appreciative, return to that appreciation, and still go back in the game. But don't lose it don't allow it to drag me down if I get, because nowadays I do stuff where there are reviews and you can't read them because it's horrible. Sometimes they're good, but you never know. And I remember
Those go in the fireplace, right?
yeah, well, so, it was really powerful that I remember this. Like I was like, okay, I got to remember this, that no matter what, I'm going to be in the game. I'm going to be a player, but I'm not going to allow that to bring me down. At some point, I want to still be appreciative and grateful and still fight for things, but not to the point where it really upsets me about things. And I remember that, and I return back to, and that's where I kind of turn it off, and I go back to my appreciation. And I look back and I look at my wall and things I've done and people I've worked with and in my relationships and my children. And then I return to that frequency of appreciation and gratitude. And I thank Jerry Herman for that because, and I'm sure he had his own way to do that, obviously, because he had to keep going. But it made me really think of how important it was for me to always remember to not let things get to me to get me too low, to remember and be appreciative of everything I've got, everything I've done. And we all should. And so Jerry Herman's been a big part of myself, of my past and my future, just meeting it. So of course I am a collector. So if there's an auction, I sure as hell want to buy something from somebody that had an impact on me like that.
Big impact on your life, right? In so many ways.
I love archaeology, anything historic. In the other room around the corner, I collect things. I collect
So you love history and right, exactly.
Books, paintings.
Me too, yeah.
Fossils. I've gone on digs in Utah and things in Bakersfield. Bakersfield actually was an inlet to the ocean, Bakersfield, California.
Right, yeah.
And I dug up shark's teeth there. But I love owning a piece of history or owning something that somebody once had. It just is it's important to me. It makes me feel like I'm a part of history. And so
you are. Yeah.
We're all connected one way or another.
We are all connected, my friend. Absolutely. And this was a great conversation. It always is when we gather. Like you said, it was like the third time you've been with us, which is amazing. Well, as I said last couple of times, and I say to all the guests, we will keep the porch light on for you. You are always welcome here, my friend. And it is, you've been here a couple of times. Your brother, Jimmy Boots Finfera, the legendary paranormal investigator. He was just on a couple of weeks ago. He's a real salt of the earth, sweetheart of a guy as well. And we know so many mutual friends and continue to do what you do, Joe Finfera, because you're making a difference and you're enjoying it and you're connecting with people and inspiring people as you entertain them through television and film and the art of acting. And you're creating that legacy. And I know it fills your cup as you're doing it for others, just like this, the work I do in television, radio does the same thing. And it's beautiful, beautiful work. So come see us again and spread the word, of course, as I know you always do, about our show.
Well,
and I hope you enjoy the time with me as much as, once again, I have with you, Joe.
I have. And I'll spread the word and everybody else to keep. And, I don't tell anybody else, too. Go back and watch some of your past episodes. There's some great stuff in there. It's all archived. I mean, you can really gain so much information and knowledge power. And Jim has had everybody on his show. So, I mean, for God's sake, to not go back and watch, it's incredible because it is an archive of history and entertainment. And so I feel grateful and proud to be a part of your family. And I feel like you're part of my family. And you really are. I mean, and you're, giving a platform for my brother and his friends. His friends are pretty damn cool too.
They are.
Their stories about paranormal stuff and where people once were. It was pretty damn cool. It's really cool stuff. We're all fascinated about, our existence, I believe goes well beyond our shells. And this is what they do. And they give us that information to help us because we all want to know what happens to us after this, what's next. And they're helping us just, figure out that mystery,
Life is one big mystery for sure, my friend. Really a fabulous conversation. As you know, I don't really call these interviews. They're interviews, but conversations, free flowing and connecting, going in a lot of different directions. And it's always fantastic having you here. A lot of our viewers throw in a couple of comments here live. Don't forget, everybody, if you enjoyed this episode, give it a like, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV, to binge watch the hundreds of other episodes. Thank you, Jim and Joe, for a great conversation. Wish you continued success in your career. Crystal Nolan in Connecticut. And that was fantastic. She is always a super fan. Thanks for being here, Joe. Love listening to you. Good luck with all you do. Kathleen in New York. Some of our regular faithful here. Maureen in Arizona. Thanks for the return visit to lovely Hall. Joe, great conversation. Sherry and Kansas, USA. Thank you, Joe, for being here again. Wonderful conversation. Good luck in all you do in the future. And everybody who's commenting in the comment section, if you could also drop a comment in the comment section underneath the episode, that helps us too. We would love for you to do that. Helps us to continue to grow and share the levity and all this connection that we have with these amazing celebrity friends and guests like Joe Finfera joining us again. His third time, the trifecta. Give this episode a like, click the like button, share this episode on your social media, subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV, and click the notification bell so you never miss any of our episodes. And be sure and leave a comment for us as well. We love that. Joe, always truly a delight and a pleasure. And come see us again. Keep you posted on all you're doing. You are omnipresent.
You know, I want to add real quick that if anybody wants to like follow me, because there's a lot of different streaming platforms out there.
There's your Instagram right there.
Your Instagram is a great way to follow me and see what I'm doing. The other thing is just regular old IMDb. IMDb pretty lists all my projects,
everything you've done and you're doing.
And there's usually a link to if the show's airing. There could be a link where it'll tell you where you can
click on it and it shows you where it's.
Yeah, we'll show you when to watch it. And then of course the old fashioned Google. If you just Google my name, different platforms will show you where you can watch different shows that I'm in. And it's
cool
pretty,
stuff.
It's pretty cool. But Amazon, Tubi, Apple has a lot of different programs online.
They do, absolutely. And you're on all of them. Joe Finfera, always a delight. Come back and see us again, my friend. And truly, hope you had as much of a good time with me as I definitely have with you again and again.
Thank you.
And we sang for Tony Orlando. I mean,
I don't know if he like it.
How cool is that, huh?
He should be proud.
Thanks for all your kind comments and support of our series too. I know you're always spreading the word and telling everybody, and you, just for the viewers watching, he's a big fan of the show. He watches the episodes. He watches past episodes. He watches current episodes. He's not just a guest and a friend of us being a guest. He's a friend of us. And that's a beautiful thing, Joe. So we really appreciate all the kind words about what I'm doing here. And that means a great deal.
Yep. Thank you.
You be well. You take care. All right. Yep. We'll see you again soon.
Okay, my friend.
Tie a little ribbon around that old oak tree.
100 of them.
That's it. Thanks, Joe. All the best. Talk soon.
Okay.
Joe Finfera is right here on the Jim Masters Show. How cool was that? And it was his return visit. And 3 times. Third time's the charm, right? Yes, Joe Finfera returns to the Jim Masters Show. This was the 3rd time, keeping us abreast of some of the things that he was working on and some of the new stuff, and going back in time with some of the things that you may remember. He is right now, it's streaming Arctic Armageddon. This is really cool. Check that out as well, and all the other cool things that he's in. He's a great guy. He's a terrific actor. You see him on television. You see him on the Lifetime Movie Network, Hallmark Channel, Amazon Prime, everywhere you can think. He's been doing it for a long, long time. Thank you, Kathleen. So glad you enjoyed it there in New York City. And Sherry, thank you very much as well. Glad you thought it was a great show. Some of our faithful lovities. We love doing this for all the gang, and it's a terrific pleasure to do it. And it's a delight. Come see us again, okay? Binge watch the hundreds of episodes that we have here for you, and come see us again. We'll keep the porch light on for you. As I always say, don't forget to love one another, take care of one another. Don't forget to do the very same for yourself. It's important to do that. And I thank you for your time this time. Till next time. And I thank my great guest, phenomenal actor, Hollywood veteran, Joe Finfera, returning to the Jim Masters Show again for another brilliant conversation. Laughs. We even sang for Tony Orlando. That was thrown together quick. How cool is that, huh? The entertainment value exceeds here on the Jim Masters Show, and you just never know what's going to happen. And we absolutely love doing it for you. It was a lot of fun. Thanks to everybody that was chatting in the chat room. Thanks to those of you watching live, those of you who will be watching this Memorex, later on in the archives. We thank you for being with us as well. It's always a good time when you're here with us. All right. Take care. Thanks for watching. Come see us again on the Jim Masters Show. Be well and cheers.